Bonjour à tous, hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy that you found me here. When you go to France, how many days would you allocate to Paris? You may stay the whole time in Paris, but maybe you only have a couple of days or 1 or 2 more days to stay in Paris. In that case, it would be a good idea to take an open cruise boat on the River Seine to see most of the famous Parisian monuments. There are a few cruise operators on the Seine, but probably the Bateaux Mouches is the most well-known cruise operator. The cruise without a meal option takes 70 minutes. Today, I will show you what you can expect from the popular cruise on the Seine River. Let's go! Allons-y! First, let me show you the map of the Seine River and the map of Paris. The Seine is a 780-kilometer or 485-mile long river from Dijon, Burgundy through Paris into the English Channel via Le Havre, and the 13-kilometer river course through Paris. The Seine River flows from southeast to southwest of Paris. Facing the direction of the flow of the river towards the west, the north bank is the right bank, la rive droite in French, and the left bank or la rive gauche in French is the south bank. Bateaux Mouches cruise travels first against the current to the east before turning and going downstream. The Bateaux Mouches leave from the Port de la Conférence located very close to the Pont de l'Alma. The nearest metro stations are Alma-Marceau on Line 9 and Pont de l'Alma on RRC. We need to line up for a few minutes before boarding. There are seats on the upper deck as well as on the lower deck. The boats depart from the pier on the Port de la Conférence and travel up the Seine towards Notre-Dame de Paris on the Île de la Cité, which is an island in the River Seine in the center of Paris. On its way to the Île de la Cité, the cruise boat passes many historic monuments. Once the boat goes under the bridge Pont des Invalides, we see the Dôme des Invalides on our right and the Grand Palais on our left. But to avoid confusion, I'll only show you the monuments or famous buildings passing by our right side. Then the famous landmarks on the other side on the way back downstream. Then we see one of the most famous bridges on the Seine ahead, the Pont Alexandre III. Le Pont Alexandre III is a deck-arch bridge that spans the Seine in Paris. It connects the Champs-Élysées quarter of the 8th arrondissement of Paris with the quarter of Les Invalides standing in the 7th arrondissement. Le Pont Alexandre III was constructed for the Universal Exposition of 1900 and named after the Tsar Alexander III of Russia. As we pass the Pont Alexandre III, we notice Le Palais Bourbon, the site of l'Assemblée Nationale or the National Assembly in English. It was originally constructed as an aristocratic country house between 1722 and 1728 for Louise Françoise de Bourbon, Duchess of Bourbon, the legitimate daughter of Louis XIV. It survived the French Revolution before being used by the Emperor Napoleon and the restored Bourbon monarchy. Since then, it has been owned by the French state. Le Palais Bourbon is by the Pont de la Concorde, on which you can have a fantastic view of the Eiffel Tower. If you want to know 15 great spots to see the Eiffel Tower, please check out the Eiffel Tower 15 Best Viewpoints in Paris video. Then we pass under the Pont de la Concorde to see one of the most iconic buildings by the Seine, the Musée d'Orsay. It is an art museum in Paris that is housed in the former Gare d'Orsay, a Beaux-Arts railway station built between 1898 and 1900. The Musée d'Orsay holds mainly French art dating from 1848 to 1914, including paintings, sculptures, furniture, and photography. The museum and its contents are beyond stunning. It is a museum I want to go back to over and again. The next remarkable building we see is the Institut de France, where all the 5 French learned societies, grouping 5 academies, are sitting, including the Académie Française, initiated in 1635, and the Académie des Sciences, initiated in 1666. Now we are approaching the famous Pont Neuf and the Ile de la Cité. The Pont Neuf means a new bridge. Ironically, the Pont Neuf is the oldest bridge over the Seine. The construction of the bridge started in 1578 under Henry III and completed in 1607 during the reign of Henry IV. And the boat passes by one of the most well-known cathedrals in the world. The Cathedral of Notre-Dame de Paris is among the most visible and celebrated landmarks of Paris. Notre-Dame de Paris, or simply known as Notre-Dame, is medieval Catholic cathedral on the Ile de la Cité. The cathedral was built between 1163 and 1345. On the 15th of April 2019, the cathedral caught fire, destroying the flesh and the forest of oak roof beams supporting the lead roof. 5 years after the fire, the cathedral's reopening is scheduled for December 8, 2024. The boat moves towards the Pont de la Tournelle, the bridge decorated with a pylon and a statue of Saint Geneviève, the patron saint of Paris, atop of the pylon, designed by Polish-French monumental sculptor Paul Landowski. If you want to learn more about the patron saint of Paris and see a great vista point in Paris, please check out the top panoramic view in Paris on the hill of the patron saint of Paris video. The cruise continues further upstream, passing the Pont d'Austerlitz, the Pont Charles de Gaulle, and the Gare d'Austerlitz before turning around. The Gare d'Austerlitz is one of the 7 large train stations in Paris. The Pont d'Austerlitz and the Pont Charles de Gaulle are both one-way bridges carrying road traffic. The Pont d'Austerlitz carries traffic from north to south, and the Pont Charles de Gaulle does from south to north. Here we can see the spot where the Canal Saint-Martin, a 4.6 km long canal, meets the Seine River. Now the boat goes downstream towards west between the Rive Droite and right bank on our right and the west of the Ile de la Cité on our left. On our right, we see the Hôtel de Ville, the city hall of Paris, and the 52-meter tall Tour Saint-Jacques. This 16th century tower is a UNESCO heritage site. The boat passes by La Conciergerie on our left, a former courthouse and prison below the Palais de Justice. As I mentioned, it was a part of the former royal palace, the Palais de la Cité, which also included the Sainte-Chapelle. During the French Revolution, 2,780 prisoners, including Marie Antoinette, were imprisoned, tried, and sentenced at La Conciergerie. Then we noticed one of the most renowned museums in the world, the Louvre Museum, or generally known as the Louvre. It is located in the first arrondissement in the center of Paris. The museum is housed in the Louvre Palace, originally built in the late 12th and 13th century under Philip II. It was established as a museum in 1793. It has over 600,000 objects of collection and displays 35,000 works. The Louvre is the most visited museum in the world, by far, ahead of the second most visited Vatican Museum. Then we pass by the Jardin des Tuileries and see the glass-roofed Grand Palais standing beyond the Place de la Concorde. The Grand Palais is a historic site, exhibition hall, and museum complex located between the Champs-Élysées and the Seine in the 8th arrondissement of Paris. This glass-roofed iconic building was built for the Universal Exhibition of 1900, just like the Pont Alexandre III. The Grand Palais hosts fencing and taekwondo events across the Olympics and Paralympics. Now we pass by the Place La Concorde, the largest public square in Paris. We see the famous Egyptian obelisk in the center of the Place La Concorde. In summer 2024, the square is half-blocked because it is used as a venue for 3x3 basketball, breakdancing, BMX freestyle cycling, and skateboarding for the Paris Summer Olympics. The cruise now passes under the Pont Alexandre III bridge. We are back to the Port de la Confiance where we started the cruise. But the cruise is not over yet. We go further west. Trocadéro, site of the Palais de Chaillot, is an area in the 16th arrondissement of Paris across the Seine from the Eiffel Tower. It has probably the best view of the magnificent Eiffel Tower. And obviously, you see the monumentally imposing Eiffel Tower. When the boat reaches the Pont Bierkem, it turns around. By the Pont Bierkem, there is a monument of the Jewish martyr square of the Vélodrome d'Hiver. The French police, acting under orders from the German authorities in occupied France, used to hold thousands of Jews before they were moved to a concentration camp in July 1942. The incident became known as the Veldiv Roundup, or the Rafle du Veldiv in French. If you want to know more about the Holocaust in France, please check out the Holocaust in Paris, Tragic Marks of Shoah in Paris video. The cruise ends with the lingering images of the magnificent Eiffel Tower. The price for adult tickets is €17 as of summer 2024. I hope you have a chance to enjoy the splendid view of Paris from the Seine River. That's all for today. I hope to see you again next week. If you have liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you want to see more of my weekly videos. Thanks so much for watching.